Welcome to Sino-US Observation. Here, you can learn about the hot events between China and the US. If you are interested, don't forget to follow our channel. The German picture pack published an article titled "NASA Boss Sounded the Alarm, the Chinese Want to Occupy the Moon on July 2nd. The theme of the article was the warning of NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, who declared that the new space here comes the competition, this time with China. In the article, Bill Nelson launched a series of attacks on China Aerospace. He claimed that China's space program is a military space program, and maliciously smeared China by saying that China's technology was stealed. He also put China's space program to achieve military purposes, such as the space station is to destroy other countries' satellites. NASA also announced that the United States will return to the moon by 2025. So, we can't help but ask, as the director of NASA, why do you want to attack China's aerospace industry? What is the purpose of him going to Germany to say these words? What will be the outcome of the Sino-US space race in the future? First of all, one of the most fundamental reasons why NASA went to Europe to smear China's aerospace industry is that China's aerospace industry has become so powerful that the United States has become jealous and has to attack China's aerospace industry to obtain resources and elevate itself. Everyone, pay attention to some of the information revealed by NASA when it attacked China, and then pushed back against China, and then look at the United States, and then everything will be understood. He slandered China for occupying the moon, which contains at least three connotations. The first is that China can land on the moon. If it hadn't been for China to land on the moon soon, he would certainly not be in such a hurry. According to American habits, he must say that China is bragging. So, when will China land on the moon? According to the estimates of Chinese aerospace experts, after realizing the mission of returning to Earth, China plans to achieve a manned moon landing around 2030. In fact, in 2013, some experts said that China is expected to achieve the moon landing around 2025, while other experts later said that it should be in 2030, and as early as 2013, my country has already started the technical research of manned moon landing. From this, we can see that China's moon landing is not just a casual talk, and it will not be ruled out before 2030 at the latest. The second is that China can establish a base on the moon. Will China build a base on the moon? The answer is yes. In fact, China did not go to the moon to establish a base on its own, but went to the moon to establish a base with Russia. On March 9, 2021, China and Russia signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in the Construction of International Lunar Scientific Research Stations. According to the plan, the lunar base built by China and Russia based on the three principles of joint consultation, joint construction and sharing is also promoted according to the traditional Chinese three-step strategy. It is expected to take 15 years. The base will be built and put into use in 2035. The third is that the United States is really in a hurry. Why is America in a hurry? The fundamental reason is that although the United States took the lead in landing on the moon, it was only a product of the arms race in the last century, and the United States did not gain direct economic benefits from it, and the United States spent at least tens of billions of dollars for this. For the United States, when it proved that it had won the moon landing, its mission was completed, so later when the United States proved that the Soviets could not get on the moon, it gave up and further explored the moon. However, when the United States found out that China had planned to land on the moon and was preparing to establish a base on the moon, he was jealous and anxious. The jealousy and anxiety of the United States does not mean that he has found a way to use the lunar resources, but that if China proves that it can land on the moon and the United States cannot, then the economic development model of the United States will not be able to last because of the hegemony of the United States. One of the interests is technological hegemony. Just imagine, in the future, when the International Space Station dominated by the United States is gone, and China and Russia are the ones who land on the moon, how will the United States handle itself in the future? Not to mention the whole world, even allies will no longer believe him. Therefore, it is true that the United States is anxious, and the NASA director's smearing of China is also due to his overeagerness. Because, if the United States really loses the commanding heights of technological hegemony, NASA will not be able to get so much money. In fact, one of the core purposes of his slander and attack on China Aerospace is to ask for money. There are two directions for him to ask for money. One direction is the U.S. Congress. Many years ago, after learning of China's lunar plan, NASA originally planned to return to the moon in 2024, but from the current situation, it seems unlikely that a return to the moon in 2024 is possible. Why can't America come back? The reason is also very simple. Returning to the moon requires a lot of research and development funds, and the United States does not have enough budget. The budget is not enough, it can only be delayed, so in November last year, NASA announced that the manned moon landing would be delayed by 1 year to 2025, but that is the earliest, and it may be until 2028 at the latest. However, the problem now is that, let alone 2025, even 2028 will be difficult to achieve, and the fundamental reason is still a word of money. Bill Nelson said that China's space program is progressing rapidly, and the United States must significantly increase its budget to meet the competition to ensure the manned moon landing. In the next 6 years, it will need to increase the budget by at least $5.7 billion to meet the demand. From this statement, we can also see that the so-called return to the moon in 2025 is a real bragging, and the 6-year budget time is exactly 2028. Therefore, the NASA director's expectation is to increase the return to the moon by $5.7 billion in the next 6 years. In other words, he has not yet got the $6.7 billion budget, so this return to the moon is just a piece of cake he painted. The other direction is the European Union. Why did the NASA director go to the German media to complain? One of the fundamental reasons is to want the EU countries led by Germany to pay to help the United States return to the moon. To put it bluntly, it is to let EU countries pay, and everyone will return to the moon in the name of joint research and development. Of course, he went to Germany to talk about lack of money, which also shows that American money is indeed not as comfortable as in the past, and the funds are not as sufficient as in the past, or in terms of research and development projects, it is no longer enough. The reason why NASA wants to open more projects is that China has a large number of parallel projects, many of which are being developed by China and the United States is declining. For example, China's more advanced space station is about to be built, and the US-led International Space Station may crash in the near future. For another example, China's lunar exploration plan is on schedule, and it will land on the moon in 2030, leaving the United States to return to the moon. Slogan, as well as lunar bases are planned by China, and the United States has not heard of relevant plans. In addition, China is also building several space bases the size of football fields, but the United States has not heard of similar plans. In fact, China's independence has reached the point where the United States is nervous and fearful today. An important reason is that in order to suppress China's space development, the U.S. Congress introduced the so-called Wolf Clause in 2011, which prohibits the United States from conducting any space cooperation with China, which also includes a visit to NASA in the United States. In fact, it is inevitable that China will surpass the United States in the aerospace field. There are two fundamental reasons for this judgment. First, the people who carry the banner in China's aerospace field are young people in their 30s and 40s. Such a young team is completely different from the elderly in the United States over the age of 50 or 60. It is self-evident who will win in the future. Second, China's resource utilization rate is extremely high, while the input-output efficiency of the United States is significantly lower. The U.S. space budget is so large, but the U.S. space program is not as rich as China's, otherwise the U.S. would not be so nervous about China's space development. One of the reasons for the low efficiency of the input-output line in the United States is the brain drain after private capital is invested in spaceflight, which makes it difficult for NASA to fight some major projects faster, which is in stark contrast to China's national system. Finally, I have to say that the United States is a country that is falling into a quagmire, and the hole in the United States is too big. What do you think of it? Well, that's all for today's video content. See you next time.